Welcome to the end of war.
Alright, as we can see, they pushed 2 squads up north. We have a good map control startup right here. We're going one east, one west, one center. Good balance. We're going to be able to see that they're going to have put 2 squads up north. Able and Charlie, Baker center, Dog on the east side. This map is heavily Axis side, so there's not really much to say about this second round. I think they could not catch a breeder, but I'll try and find something that we can point out as a mistake. I would say here that Boff in this situation, he's gonna stop there. He needs to push forward. He's got the advantage as it being on the Axis side. He needs to have his squad push more aggressive onto that west side there, onto those houses, being too conservative there. McDash is covering the open field. In that case, it's not necessary. They need to be pushing those western houses. Comrade is doing perfect. He's covering the far western side, and that is a normal tactic, which is the high flank. Here on the eastern side, myself and Guard, we're gonna try and push to make sure that they don't do the same exact thing we did to them. Uh, our objective here isn't to get kills, but it's to simply find contact. If we find where the enemy is, we can then react to it. And we're gonna be able to shoot a few guys here, but we're gonna stop their advance here because they think there's more people than there actually is. That's why you should always send scouts to where you think the enemy is going to be. So if that scout dies, you know where to react to. You can see here, Buff Squad is not going very aggressive. They have the space to do so, but they're just choosing to remain having a defensive front line there. And we're going to see in a few seconds that they're going to get overrun fairly quickly. They will retake it, yes, but they're getting overrun because they chose to not push forward. They chose to not be aggressive. Something we did here on the eastern side was once we took the advantage, we try to update our front line. You can see Guard doing here very well with his beautiful SCG. There, Abel already arrived at the western side. He's got a few blueberries there. That eastern side has no contact. They're being cleared in the west as well. But we're letting the enemy get too close to us. Against a good team, I think we need to be more aggressive. And I said this in the first round, and I'll say it again. We need to be more aggressive and have a defensive front line, and that gets updated. So we have a first check, and then we have a second check, and then we have a third check. And then once we get to a position where we think the enemy doesn't have any effect on us, then we can hold that for good. Here on the eastern side, what we're going to do is we're going to try and hold this, and the enemy's going to try and push us. We've got the wheat fields pretty much covered right now. They might have some stragglers pass by us. It happens, but that is our goal: maintain that front line to not let the enemy have any margin of movement. Right now, I see McTash, Odin pushing up as well, a little bit more aggressive, not defending so much on the backside here on the western side, allowing the enemy to be killed on the open fields. And we can see that they've got a front line. Their front line is being pushed. They cannot push us because we're taking the map control. Look at our front line there. Center is heavily secured. West is pushed where it needs to be pushed, and then on the eastern side, the enemy cannot push us on the wheat fields because we've got the position to cover the entrance on the wheat fields. As we're going to be able to see now. The thing is, also against a good or a better team, they would be more dispersed. They would be pushing through those wheat fields, going prone, utilizing the tactic of having stragglers behind our lines. Enemy is trying to do what we did, which is identify our weak spot. They believe it's the west side, so they're pushing 3 squads now on the west side. Because they cannot break the center, they cannot break the east. They're placing all their efforts on the west side. It's a good tactic, and congrats to Buff Squad that was able to hold all of that. And in terms of our communications, Satchel, I remember sending 2 squad members to support Buff Squad, and that's why we need to have a static front line that is able to do that. Whenever one squad needs help, a squad leader that can dispatch an X amount of members to support that. Look at that push, and that push is going to be repelled. So excellent work there. I think here's the perfect example. Look how extended our lines are. The enemy cannot do anything because we're so close to their backyard that they do not have any possibility to move. This is what we need to do in the tournaments. We need to make sure the enemy does not catch a breather. Because if we give them the possibility to flank or to come up behind us, we are screwed. Look at that. They can't move. They can't do anything. Great job. Great job. Look once again up at the map. They are on a defensive static line and they cannot break us. And this is pretty much what's going to happen throughout the game. They simply don't move. This was my squad's goal was to hold this hedge here. This is first priority, and then second priority would be the other hedge. Always maintaining a front line, exactly like Boff is doing, which is perfect, which is the offensive front line that I wanted him to do initially. Amazing, amazing. Like this round was, I don't know, we just played perfect there. One mistake from my squad here. One mistake from my squad here is you were able to see that Abel's going to push up behind us, Almighty, because we sadly overextended our lines onto the second priority. He's going to be able to get an OP. He's going to be able to get a squad behind us, and this guy does the same thing on the third round. He flanks us, he places an OP behind us, and he gives a little bit of a scare. Once again, against a good team, these guys are going to be always doing that. Always, always, always. In the eastern side we lost. That was my squad's fault. We understood that we left that open space and we're gonna react to it. That the enemy has broken through our lines due to an OP that goes on red. So that's why OP positioning is needs to be perfect because it not also serves as a spawn point for our guys, but also serves as an alarm for flanks. Because of that OP red, I identify the enemies behind us. I kill that squad leader. I will kill the other guy pushing through, and I'm going to ask for support from my squad members, denying the enemy a flank from behind.